what this noise or whatever this attention is being focused on is the fact that people don't like the fact that Pat live streams such a private like moment of people struggling. Number one, and number two, Nick is, in a lot of people's opinions, I'm just saying this is a common viewpoint, is being used for the amount of followers and the attention that he's bringing to Graceland. And another big one is that Pat has stated himself, I think twice or three times now on live, that he himself is not even sober, and there's just so much. There's so much.
Oh wow. I mean, I'm an alcoholic as well, and I'm not an addict, but I'm an alcoholic. And one thing I don't do, or we don't, play with where I'm from, is that, sobriety. You just don't do that, because you can lead somebody down the wrong path, because that part of your brain is looking for any kind of avenue to go back to doing what you were doing before.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the point is, and the way I see it is, like, if what Pat said is true, that he is indeed not sober, then I think that that's probably the last person that you would want to have around somebody.
Sure.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of people that are doing it. I call them closets. They're pretty much in the closets and so forth. And
they want to put on a persona.
It's sad, but this is the world we live in. It's a dog eat dog world.
It is.
It's really not meant for you to win.
It's not. And I think that the way that Pat, in his mind, is trying to win, and kind of has been winning, even though it's not the right way, is all the, I feel like most of his income probably comes from from the TikTok stuff. And that's something you shouldn't really, I don't think, profit off of. I don't think you should profit off of something like that, because if it's true, authentic, genuine empathy, and you want to really help somebody, and it's true recovery, you're not thinking about how much money you can make, or how can I make money off this, or how can we make this a profitable thing? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the thing of it is that this structure of system that we live in is designed for you to lose and not win. And unfortunately, misery loves company. And so you have to keep that in mind. All your activists, all of the people that want to see good out of this world, you ever heard the adage, you're fighting an uphill battle?
Yes.
All of this has been prophesized. I mean, literally, this world is not to last long. I'm just kidding. I mean, you got so much evil and hatred and betrayal, and men are lovers of themselves, and
deceit.
It's really awful.
It is. And I hear what you're getting at.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. We move so far away from tradition to now this. And I'm not going to get so deep off in it, but I just really want you guys to understand that, yes, you can have a platform, and yes, you can voice your opinion, but ask yourself, how far is that going?
Can I ask? I apologize for interjecting, but can I ask a question pointed to whomever can answer it? I realize that this sober living house is unregulated, dysregulated, not licensed through California law or whatever. Where does HIPAA stand with that? Because I work under HIPAA laws, and that's very important to my practice. So, Cherry, do you know anything about that?
Well, I will say this. If they are not really regulated under any, let's say, any institution, or if they're just calling themselves a group and they're not LLC'd or anything of those such, and also if they're not under the government or under the HIPAA law, which is under the government, then I mean it's kind of free game. But the thing of it is, it's almost like this: if he doesn't have all of these things in place, then really what he's doing is making a mockery.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just being honest with you. I go to the doctor all the time, and that's one thing that they take serious is HIPAA.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, they do. The thing I was curious about as well is that he has his when you go on he has two different websites. One's a .com and one's a .org. I was wondering that too with the HIPAA. He doesn't have any like medical staff. So I can see where that wouldn't apply for HIPAA with the sober living.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But with him possibly having a nonprofit and an IOP where he does file insurance and takes medical insurance, then I think that would fall under HIPAA.
Right.
Is that correct?
Hold on, guys. Hold on. It says a sober living home itself is generally not considered a covered entity under HIPAA, meaning it's not directly required to comply with HIPAA regulations. However, if a sober living home collects and stores personal health information about residents, they could potentially violate HIPAA if they mishandle or disclose that information without proper consent.
Right, and they do intake there, so they know, all of the personal information, medical information, all that kind of stuff. And if, they take someone to get their, the doctor to get their medications and what they need, and other things like government assistance, food stamps, things that they ask you when somebody calls in there is, do you have insurance?
It's kind of with me. I don't know a lot about California regulations and laws because California to me is their own country.
Yeah.
It's so different from the rest of the states.
Indeed.
Unfortunately.
And so it's one of those things where I almost like you have to take it with a grain of salt. But now here's the thing. By him being public and going public, somebody is advising him how far he can go or how far he can stretch his line.
Do you think so? He must have. He does have lawyers.
I don't think he have lawyers, but I think he have an advisor, somebody that can tell him, "Hey, you can get away with this. You can say this, but you can't say that." Or
oh man, you're giving Pat too much credit.
And keep in mind, misery loves company. He knows that if and again, all of this is allegations. I have no clue. But he knows that on this app, people are not going to listen to a stickler, so to speak. They're going to want to see the drama. They're going to want to see the chaoticness. They're going to want to see something that's going to keep them in tune. Unfortunately, that's just what it is,
But Mark, I vastly disagree with that because this gentleman, he doesn't listen to anyone. He doesn't ask anyone for anything. He demands it. So for me to think that he's listening to an attorney or a licensure holder or even, he has to have insurance on this place, right?
Well,
he doesn't listen to anyone. He doesn't even.
That's the thing.
Well, see, here's the thing. What I've heard him say, he's a hell of an actor. And the thing of that is, if this is all for show, and he's putting it all out there and doing all this, because you have to think about it. Him and his wife, they have a kid, and they have a kid in that house.
It's a separate house.
Sober house, right.
No, but
So
it's a separate house,
No,
brother.
he has his own house.
He has his own house that they I believe sleep and stay in. I would imagine that's where they sleep and stay.
well, I looked at it like when I was watching him and to have his kids around that type of chaoticness or atmosphere,
Right.
you know, DHR would be knocking, banging at the door. So
Department
it's
of Homeland
all
Security?
what now?
Wait, what's DHR?
DHR is like public
Human Resources?
yeah, it's like DHR is like really pretty much human resources where you have a social worker to come out there and check everything out and see if everything is up code, is it safe for the kid to be there, all of these things. And I just refuse to believe that if that baby is in such of a harm's or unsafe environment, nothing is being done about it. I refuse to believe that.
Well, so people have called, actually just the other day, the first day Nick got there, somebody did actually call law enforcement because they were worried about the safety of the child. But I don't think that
Nothing really came of it.
because the mom is sober and seems like a lot more level-headed and responsible. I don't think that the kid, just
Yeah, I
speculation
wouldn't,
wise,
like
I
I
don't
said,
think
I
they're
wouldn't
endangered.
see him putting his child in harm's way. However, I would see him putting on a really good show for the world to see. Because that's, like you said, a lot of this is where he getting his income from. Because if you think about it, if they're not bringing nothing to the table, then they got to go. So, yes, he's going to try to get them all the government assistance that he can and what he can get out of it.
Right, but that's the thing is what we're saying, bro. Is like if it's not an IOP, which I don't believe it is, because technically they're just renting there. There's no, you know what I mean? Then he can't collect the insurance. He can't collect the insurance. So
Well,
you
you
can't.
don't have to collect necessarily the insurance if they're giving it to you. You can walk them in to the bank, sit to the side, and tell them to take out whatever you want, and they can hand that to you.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what we're saying is if that is happening, then that would be fraud, and he would definitely, definitely not be open for long. I don't
Yeah,
think he.
well,
What's allegedly happening is body brokering. And he supposedly owns an IOP and a sober living, which from my understanding, you're not allowed to own both.
I
And
see.
body brokering is when I'm trying to get my words together to explain it short. Basically, like, okay, I have this patient who needs OIP services. So this OIP is going to say, okay, well, if you send us patients, we're going to pay you, we're going to give you kickbacks and all of that. And then somehow, shape, way, or form, for insurance fraud. Yes, completely.
Yeah, he
false.
is right. That's what I
said
thought.
allegedly. I don't know it to be fact.
So doesn't, but he does have another home that they were just saying. I heard them say it. I think he has another home that's an all women's home. So he might just be falsely claiming that he does have an IOP and then using it, funneling it through that to collect the money.
Yes,
When really they're living
Graceland
at
said he
Graceland.
is sending people with insurance to their OP, and then the OIP gets them back.
Hey, Bella.
Working.
Bella.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Unfortunately,
Do you feel
that's
comfortable coming up?
What'd you say?
Hold on a minute. I'm talking to someone in the chat that knows a lot.
Yes.
What up, Blue Oranges?
Hilarious. Do you feel like you can come
I
up?
just wanted to say something to Bella real
on.
quick.
Can you let Kelsey talk real quick?
Hold on, buddy.
You were
Hold
cutting
on.
her off.
Hold on, buddy. Just 1 second. We'll let you talk. I believe it was Cherry that was talking.
He's in
I
the
believe-
box. Okay. Can we let Hilarious talk? Because he was actually in the house. He was at
Okay.
Graceland.
Hey, Liv, we're gonna let you talk right after them.
No problem, brother.
All right, thank you, bro.
Hello.
Hey, honey, how are you?
Good. Chilling.
Good.
So you were in the house there?
Yes, for about 3 months.
Oh man, tell us all about it, man.
So I was homeless living in a tent prior to showing up there. And my cousin works there. He actually edits the videos and stuff. His name is John.
Okay.
But he basically was like saying he was gonna help me, all this stuff. He brought me to California, didn't tell me where I was going, didn't tell me anything about what it was gonna be. And then I show up at Graceland, and he tells me, "Oh, you're gonna think I set you up." And I'm like, "Why you mean? What do you mean by that? Like, can you be more specific?" So, about a couple days go by. The first, I think it was like the first 24 hours of being there, they were trying to get me to do like a double scrub. And I'm just showing up.
And like chores wise?
The whole house, just like random. Like I showed up at a bad time or something. I don't know.
What? Okay.
Johnny was very rude.
How so?
He just was very rude. He said some things. I kind of said some. I told him about a little personal subject, and he was like very, very disrespectful on it.
He was not empathetic. He was cold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of made a joke about it.
Oh, okay. He's insensitive and kind of cruel.
Yeah. About, I believe, 2 months of being in there. I was in there for 2 months consecutively, and something happened. I left, and I bought a bus. I had my grandparents buy me a bus ticket to get back to Philadelphia because that's where I'm from. And they called my grandparents, they called my family, and get my bus ticket canceled. And they left me homeless in LA for about 72 hours. They put me on like a 72-hour ban, and I was homeless in LA. And of course, what else am I going to do when you're homeless in LA? I'm going to get high, I'm going to get drink, whatever, to make my night easier. But yeah, so then upon showing back up, I was scared. They told me I had to walk 30 miles back to their house, back to Graceland, and which I did, because I was scared. They called my family, which I don't even talk to my family like that. Like I finally started talking to my grandmother again. They called my grandmother, get the bus ticket canceled. It's just all crazy. Now I'm stuck in LA. Like it was just all crazy. And so upon showing back up after that, they give me 50,000 words to write. They give me 50,000 words to write in
Hilarious. Can I ask you a question? I hate to cut you off, but I wasn't clear. When you arrived at Graceland, had you detoxed or were you sober or?
Oh, I detoxed in their house. They were actually giving me Valium and Ativan in the house.
And how did they get that medicine? Because those are controlled.
Yeah, Johnny had it in his drawer in the room. There's like a single room, and like through the front door, right to the left when you enter in Graceland. That was Johnny's room at the time, and he had like the meds in his little drawer in there, and he was giving me Valium and Ativan that Danielle went to some doctor for because I was like detoxing really bad at Found. I was at Found detoxing, sweating, chills, throwing up, and they were still trying to charge my insurance and get me into IOP and stuff, but I'm like literally dying.
So was it, sorry, just to ask real quick, you were coming off of
Xanax and alcohol.
Okay. Just be careful to keep the words that you use because I don't know why. It's like 5th grade on TikTok, so
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, dude. You're good.
I hate to have interrupted you. I just wasn't clear in where. Yeah. So.
Carry on, brother.
Yeah.
But they gave me like 50,000 words to write in a corner. And I was like scared a little bit. So I kind of tried to write the words because they called like my family, had my family cut off from me. And in the whole process of this, the house, like when you go to the house and you get over 1,000 words, you are not allowed to talk to anybody in the house. You have to sit in the corner of the mansion while everybody shuns you basically and treats you like shit. Like everybody will be eating dinner in that room you see like on their TikTok. And yeah, it's just, they'll just, and if you talk to anybody while on reflections, then you get another 1,000 words. And it's just like, they try to like mentally screw you up so that you feel, I guess, like a Stockholm syndrome, I guess, like where like you love your abuser, and that's I guess what Pat. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel, but
Hilarious. Weren't you told that you had to write the 25,000 and
yes.
then
So after that 50K, I left and I went back to Philly somehow. I don't remember how, but I went back to Philly and I don't know why I wanted to go back to Graceland, but my life was like ended up in shit again. My cousin is there, you know, family and stuff. So I was like, all right, well, I get a hold of Danielle and she tells me, well, we can give you 25K if you come back. If you come back, we'll give you 25,000. So there's a video on Pat's page, I believe on YouTube and on the TikTok. And they lied to me and told me 25,000 words to come back. So I come back and then they switch it up to 50,000. They were like, "Oh no, you have to write the essay that you left with. We just said that just to get you back here." And then I tried to leave, and they cornered me in a closet. And this is all on TikTok. The video is posted and everything. Got like 300,000 views. They cornered me in a closet and was like basically degrading me, like talking shit. I had my cousin yelling and screaming at me in my face with like 4 other people cornering me in like a 4x4 closet. But yeah.
and
And
then there's something personal that we're not going to really discuss, but they also made him. I'm sorry. They also made Hilarious go into what they would call these elite prayer meetings. Because they felt like let's just say that he was just treated terribly.
so I just to put it out there, just be more specific. I came out recently. I'm on hormones. And I called Danielle, and this was in March of this year. I called Danielle to go back to Graceland because I just was like, all right, that maybe they'll support me. I was looking for God when I went to Graceland the first time. I thought God might have brought me there. Like, it's a lot of mental fucked up shit that they did to me. And yeah, Johnny, the reason why I said Johnny was an asshole during the intake was because like I came out to him and I said like, hey, I want to take hormones. That like I've always hid this behind closed doors and lived a double life, and I realized like that this is what's making me high. This is what's like getting me so stressed to want to get high. And he's just like, oh, you might just want to keep that behind closed doors. So yeah, and then after that, then I talked to Danielle about it. I'm like, are you going to help me get the hormones like you said you would? And she was like, oh no, we're going to go to an elite prayer circle on whatever day it was. I can't remember. And whatever you want to do after that, you can do, but I'll fully support you. But I don't think you're going to want to do it anymore.
Yeah, so it was like they were trying to like pray the gay away.
Yeah, that's super discriminatory, and that's super hateful. I really dislike when people that claim to be Christians give authentically Christian people like me a bad name, and I'm so sorry that they treated you like that. Religion should never be used as a tool for anything, especially to conform or discriminate or include or exclude people. I'm so sorry. That's horrible.
Prayer conversion, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's like they make a joke about it, and they say if you do, like, if you're in this prayer circle or whatever, the more you pray, you'll pray the gay out of you.
It's faith conversion.
Yeah, see, that's
conversion.
insane to me. That's insane.
Yeah, that's really culty to me. I've never ever said anything like that. The people around me that I know that are also religious and Christian have never said anything like that. If you're really a true Christian, you should know that what we're taught is to love all people. That period. So I really don't like when people hide behind being a quote unquote Christian, and then they continue to do the exact opposite things that the Bible itself, talks about. It's really sad.
Hilarious. May I ask you a question?
Like, they didn't want to be around like his personal things. Can you tell them about that?
Hilarious. Can I ask you a quick question about your coming off process? The medications that they administered to you, were they prescribed to you or did they just give you random medication?
That's what I was wondering too. Hilary, you see there?
I don't think you can hear us.
Popcorn.
From what he told me
saying
when I talked to him, the prescriptions were
they were
not
not his. Yeah,
They were not his.
they were not his. He said what he said,
Mhm.
right? Oh yeah, there
Yes,
you
we
go.
can hear you.
Sorry, it was like weird. But yeah, the prescriptions were mine. If I believe so. I believe they were mine. But they were like signing something off. They got it from some doctor though. It wasn't anything that had to do with Graceland or like it was.
And did you meet with that provider or did they have a phone call representing what you were going through to like just speak for you? Did you actually meet a provider yourself?
I don't believe I did.
Did you even speak to one?
I spoke to a therapist. But I
did
don't.
they?
I question the therapist because it wasn't even. I didn't feel like they were legit.
But when you
It would
spoke
have
to the
had to have been
therapist,
a
were they talking about
psychiatrist.
medication? Did they ask you? Was it to prescribe
It
medication?
was not. No. It was not a psychiatrist or whatever.
Oh
It-
wow,
But
wow.
you didn't actually go into a doctor's office, explain that you were coming off a substance. They didn't take your vitals to see how medically stable you were and
No, I
assess
threw
if
up
you were
in the sink,
withdrawing.
and I was so bad in the IOP that I threw up in the sink, and then they were like, "Oh, we have to handle this because one of the other clients or one of the other residents seen it."
But you can't. So even if you did talk to, I don't think you can. That even on the phone, which you said it was a therapist. Even if you talk to your doctor with your insurance, I don't think they can prescribe you what you said. Would you say Ativan and what else? I don't think they could just do
It was-
that over the phone without doing a physical.
No,
yeah,
they
it was
can.
Ativan and Valium.
That's not
But
right.
those are two very controlled substances.
Right.
And over the phone or even telehealth, I don't know how California works. I don't live in a.
You can't get
But
that strongly.
I know
I
that
don't know.
Danielle was the one
don't.
talking to the people. Sorry if I'm
I
cutting.
just
If
don't
I'm
see
cutting
that
off.
happening unless you have an in with a doctor and you
Mm-hmm.
think you can advocate for a patient.
Which is also illegal.
Are you
Absolutely.
saying-
You're
Are you saying that you were given Ativan and Valium as like to wean off of stuff?
yes.
Yes.
Ativan is it was. I know they now give Librium, but Ativan is pretty common for like other benzo and also alcohol. And Valium is like actually a lower level benzo. I don't feel like it is because I feel like it can be just as strong, but maybe they would prescribe those together, but definitely Ativan. But that's weird. Are you saying that are you guys talking about Graceland? I just got in.
Yeah, he was at Graceland and he was saying that they had given him that.
They do both
So
together.
actually,
If he was seen by a
those-
doctor or a nurse practitioner like myself, it's not uncommon to give Ativan with Valium
Together.
together. It's
Okay,
not
yeah.
uncommon. But for him not to be seen,
Right.
I mean,
That's the
even
part.
it's strange because I don't know where they would have got them to begin with.
Yeah, the
they can't
concern is that he
administer.
actually did not speak to or visually like have a presence with a practitioner or a provider,
Not
and
even
that
a
it was
physical.
all done by Danielle or a staff person,
Which is
and he
super
was
shady.
not his own representative for his care.
Did you ever
Because
see
the
the bottles?
Ativan and the Librium is actually a very common protocol
Yeah.
for withdrawals to minimize the chance of seizures.
Which is fine, but if I were to, and I'm sorry, Hilarious, I'm not taking away from, I'm just trying to point out how wrong it was that you were giving these meds without maybe even your consent
Yes.
and how you got them.
In
But
the house,
Cherry,
though,
you're a
too.
nurse
It was in the house.
practitioner.
So hilarious. You said they were already there. They were in the drawer.
No,
You
no,
said.
no. Well, no. I'm saying like after they got it, they put it in the drawer in Johnny's room.
Okay.
So like, and they told me not to tell anybody. They said, "Don't tell anybody you're detoxed off anything. Don't tell any other residents."
Because they shouldn't have been collecting any of your insurance or anything like that, because you should be in a detox. They're trying to make it all in one thing, like so that you don't have to leave.
So, Cherry Cola, you don't know me from Adam. Let's say I'm detoxing. Will you write me scripts for all that stuff? Because as a nurse practitioner, I know you can write scripts, but you've never seen me. You don't know me. Would you write my scripts?
You can't even isn't
No.
so with
No,
No, I
alcohol
wouldn't
and
write you
benzo.
scripts because for one, I
No.
don't know you. And second of all, I would send you, actually, I would refer you to a place like
Exactly.
a detox
Yep.
or
Yep.
Inpatient. They would intake you and assess you and see what they would give you. I wouldn't write you a
Absolutely.
prescription because I don't know you.
Right.
That
Right.
So with the Ativan protocol, you have a set of criteria that has to visually be assessed on a date. Actually, I think it's on dose by dose, and
I'm
then
pretty
it can
sure
go
it
up to
is, too.
7 milligrams, and then it goes down depending on the symptoms and the criteria. That's like the main protocol of Ativan.
And you
Yep.
have to take vitals before you dose every patient on that
Yes.
protocol.
And I think you have to test your urine as well.
What I'm pointing out, and the reason why I'm saying all this is it makes me incredibly sad that Hilarious did not get the best point of care for what he was going through.
Right.
No, he did it, and they treated him horribly. Like I said, they wouldn't touch any of his things because they felt like they were gonna
Catch something.
something because of him being gay.
Are you serious? Are you serious? That's
I
not
promise,
scientific.
I swear to
That's
God
not a
on my
medical
little brother
thing.
and sister that's what Johnny was like very weird about touching my stuff and didn't even search through it because he seen a wig.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
just
crazy.
simply being gay and having relations is not the same as intravenous administration of rugs that a lot of people in the house were doing. So there's
Oh my gosh. I am so
I'm gonna be there for Hilarious because like we've had a long talk, through Messenger and all this other kind of stuff, and I'm gonna like be there for
Then
Hilarious all I can. The things that he went through are horrible. Like when they even put him out and he had nowhere to go, and he was walking, they would drive by him and make fun of him because he was put out, and they would tell him, "Oh, look, you're gonna have to sleep in a tent with the raccoon."
hilarious.
sorry.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Can I hear the rest of the
video to that,
story?
too.
Hilarious. Can you finish from where you left off before we get way off?
Where did I leave off?
See, I don't even remember now. I'm sorry. We were talking about popcorn came up and then asked you about if you saw a therapist or not. I believe you left off right after they had you writing the stuff and you were saying that that you would be shunned.
Yeah, so like everybody in the house, if you have like 50,000 words, you feel like shunned, like nobody's talking to you. You're not allowed to talk to anybody. If you do, you get an extra 1,000 words on top of that. It's like completely mentally, like it's what I don't can't even mind control. It's like mind control. The shit that they do, it's you feel less of a person. They put me on a program when I first showed up. I had no money. I had nothing. My cousin was working there, wasn't even helping me or coming to see me. And I had no soap. I had no soap to wash myself. And they put me on a no barter and no bumming program, which means anytime I asked you for anything, they would give me another 1,000 words on top of how many words I had. And they would just for asking you for soap. Because I needed to wash my face or something or brush my teeth. Like I didn't even have toothpaste at the time, and like they were making me feel like just a scum, a piece of dirt. I'm sorry, this shit is all really a lot for me, honestly.
So
Well, I'm proud of you for coming up because you said that you were uncomfortable coming up, and I'm proud of you for doing this.
Me
so
too.
hilarious. One, I want to apologize on behalf of the recovery community because no one, recovery community or not, just on a human level, no one deserves that treatment. So I want to apologize that you ever experienced that, not just as a human in recovery, but as a human in general. That is something that no one should ever have to experience that. And from the bottom of my heart, I feel such empathy and compassion, and I have such just pride that you got through the value that you have in your life. And it breaks my heart that in the moments of probably some of the most vulnerable times, people treated you like that. You should have never experienced that. And that is not a representation of recovery. And if at any point you need supports, know that any person on this panel is available for you.
Absolutely. And I second what Popcorn Lover said. And listen, I grew up in the South, and what you went through, hilarious, is what happened in the 1980s when there was an AIDS epidemic. And that is uncalled for. We are more educated. We know about AIDS. We know about our trans. We know about our gay, lesbian, like everything. And for people to do that to you and think that that was helpful in any way, manner, choice. I'm not going to say bad words because that's not what we're doing, but they can go to the hot spot down below because that is uncalled for. And I love you. You're a beautiful human, and I am so proud of you for talking your truth tonight.
Can I also ask without prying, hilarious, because I do want to respect you and I want to embrace your identity. How do you identify? Because I want to make sure I am respecting your gender identity. How would you like to be addressed if we are speaking about you with your pronouns?
She, they.
She, they. Okay. I just wanted to clarify because I did not want to misgender you in any way without asking before I spoke about you.
I'm kind of used to it, so.
Could I speak now?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So, I think it was Bella who asked originally. Just so you know, probably 75% of rehabs, sober livings in California, detoxes, not all of them own, but they're all connected with IOPs, detoxes, rehabs, and about probably that the ones that can afford to do it, do it. It's absolutely 100% legal, and it's just part of, unfortunately, it's just part of the game, if you want to say it like that. But it is 100% legal. I just wanted to, I just don't want facts that aren't true to be spread because, a lot of people are shedding light on sober living because of Pat Ridge. And, I do think he's, I have my own opinions about him, whatever. I agree with most of you on a lot of the stuff, but it's not even, I think you guys are doing like all good stuff, but really, I mean, the true darkness is in 90% of the sober livings out in California and everything. I mean, like vitals and stuff like that, that really is ever, yeah, they have to take your vitals to dispense a medication, but I've been through 6 rehabs in California and I've never once had a physical. it's very common for them to administer Valium and a million other things. I mean, if you're coming in off the streets kicking whatever you're kicking with a serious habit, they're trying to get you to stay. They don't want, whether their intentions are bad or good, whether they just want you for the money or they're actually trying to help, they don't want you to walk out those doors. So if it's a I won't say the names, but if it's an X or a V pill that they give you to stay, to calm you down, to get you through your WDs, to do whatever, they'll do it. I don't really think that's a big issue, because I know me personally, I'm 2 years sober right now. I was out in California. I actually got kicked out of the place I was in, but if they didn't give me Valium, sorry, I didn't mean to say the word, but if they didn't give me it, I probably would have left myself personally. And another thing too is, like, of course they're going to be in cahoots with doctors. It's you can call it evil, you can call it, they have hundreds of thousands of people that come through their building every year with the same disease and the same sickness. Of course, it's like if you were fixing cars, on the side, you're going to be in cahoots with the mechanic. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. I think you guys are doing good stuff. I think you're on the right path. But the truth is, Patrick Ridge is like not even the tip of the iceberg. It really ain't. He's like he honestly is a bit of a troll, and he loves being on camera, and you guys feed into it. But like, literally 90% of the sober livings out there, it started in Florida. I mean, back in 2010, I was out in Florida. They used to pay you to get high.
Yeah, the pill mills.
If you had 30 days sober, they would pay you to go on the street, get high, come back in, fail. And you know how many kids died? I mean, I went to this place called, I don't even care, I'll say it. I went to this place called Lakeside Recovery. It's now shut down. It was in Singer Island, Florida, on West Palm Beach. I was in there with 28 people. 21 of them are dead today. And half of them were dead because of, I left after my 30 days. I came back. I'm from Boston. I came and flew home. A lot of those, if you're, not to say I'm better than anybody else, but if you're kind of coming from a broken place and you don't have a place to sleep, that's, they'll pay you to go out relapse. They could hit your insurance for $90K, they'll give you $5K. So it's like it's a cruel world, and I just kind of wanted to just bring to your attention that like, I know everyone's after Pat. I'm not saying he's a good person at all. I don't even know. Nor do I really care to ever meet him, but like, yeah, it's not even the tip of the iceberg. Like I said, there's just so many crazy things that go on that I'm sure maybe you guys have been through rehab and detox too. I assume maybe some of you.
Yes.
Then you know the deal. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. They'll kick you out with, they'll just boot you right on the street. I got kicked out at 2 a.m. Los Angeles time, right out of the sober living or rehab, with no money, nothing, can't call back home because it's 4 a.m. home, no one's answering. It's just the name of the game, it's cruel, it's fucked up, but
Well, I want to say I had to ask for clarification, and what I had said was, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that you can own an IOP and a sober living, but I had to ask someone in the chat to clarify that for me to make sure I understood correctly, which I understood the wrong way. You can own an OIP and a sober living.
IOP, yeah.
Yeah, but that just opens the door for body brokering. And
that's what it's all about. It's crazy, yeah.
Like what you were talking about, go out, take a test, fail, and get kickbacks from it. So when you jumped in a box and was like, hey, like, Bella, I gotta, that's when I asked in the chat for someone who would know to clarify, because I wasn't sure, like I had said, from my understanding, which I spoke incorrectly about that.
So you definitely can. It's again the ethics of it when you have your residents of your sober living change or purchase specific insurance plans to go to your specific IOP so that you can get the kickbacks from that specific plan for your sober living. And live mass, path of heroin is killing my town. Like known body brokers accountable. Florida was able to get people like Kevin Chapman convicted and put in prison, right? If we continue to look at places like Graceland, if we continue to pound on the door of DPH, the AGA, the Board of Health, the Bureau of Substance Abuses in states, in counties, the federal bureaus, if we continue to have our voices heard, there's going to be change enacted, and it's not going to be overnight. But you know what? One voice isn't enough, and a million isn't too many. At some point, they are going to get tired of hearing us, and they're going to say, you know what? We're not going to silence them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're going to get if you're from Mass, you might know the names I'm saying. We're going to get the Dave Perrys out of the industry.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the Dave Perry name, but yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like I said, I'm behind it 100%. I mean, honestly, I've been waiting 15 years. I think people older than me probably been waiting 50 years for people to start coming around and speaking about this, because this is, like I said, unfortunately it's been happening for years. But yeah, thanks a lot. I just wanted to, like I said, I was just hopping around. I heard the IOP thing. I just wanted to correct her and just kind of. Not that I was coming for her or anything, but yeah, I just wanted to just shed some light. So I didn't mean to make it seem like I was coming for you.
No, I think it's great to spread the knowledge that you can own multiple levels of treatment, right?
Oh, so many do it. So many do it.
You just have to do it ethically.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing too is, like, the last time I went out to California, they're all. Like, all the owners, they all know each other. So I was going to one place, and I was supposed to go out there, and it was the week before, and I was looking around because I do have good insurance, so I could, you can, if you have good insurance, you can essentially go wherever you want in the country. Betty, whatever, I don't even know the correct name. It's Betty something. It's like
Betty Ford.
Yep. Passages, anything. They'll take you. You don't have to pay a cent. They'll hit your insurance, but you don't have to pay a single penny. They'll fly you out. You don't have to pay anything. So, especially being an addict, you want the top. I'm like, hey, if I'm doing this, I'm gonna do the top tier. So I was calling around, and I called 3 places, and within like 5 minutes, my phone rang from the first place I spoke to, and he's like, why are you calling around other places? I'm like, what? And so that's when I knew. I'm like, wow, he found out. I hung up the phone, and they must have picked up the phone right away and said, I don't know how they know it. I don't know, but they clearly, I know you do definitely get on a list that goes around between the rehabs and recoveries, because I get calls all the time. Hey, we're just checking to see if you're sober, and basically trying to recruit you, almost like if it's a draft. But yeah, it's a crazy world, and yeah, like I said, I'm gonna hop off, but I back everything you guys are doing. But I think that there's, like I said, and just in closing, I think there's places very close to Patrick's place that are doing a lot worse out there, and it's terrible. You can leave reviews. They'll delete your reviews right away. The last place I went to in California, which I'm still sober to from today, but they offered me to come home to Boston, and I was going to get paid $500 a week to do an IOP through them in California. and they would write down that I'm still out there. I would just have to join from Zoom. It's either Zoom or whatever the fucking, excuse my language, whatever the app is to check in. And the only thing you have to do is if you go to the emergency room, you have to call them and tell them because they have to write it down. Because if I went to the emergency room in Boston, say I broke my ankle at work, I don't know. Someone said they're a nurse. Maybe they'll know more about this than me. I guess when you check into a hospital, you go into some system that says, I don't know what it is, but basically if I went to a hospital in Massachusetts, they would know that I'm in Massachusetts, obviously, and not in California to be able to, be doing an IOP in California because you're supposed to be in state when you do IOPs. But yeah, that's just how crooked it is out there. It's crazy. It's wild. But yeah.
Well, continue to
Keep
use
on
your
the good
voice. You
fight.
have a very strong voice.
Real quick,
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
what was that? What was that? The thing on TV that was like, I was an addict for 30 years and now I'm not. And it was that guy that was on the late night commercials,
Malibu passages.
and he had like a blue on. Okay, so is that one of the bad ones?
I've never been there. I never went to that one, to tell you the truth. I almost did, but honestly, I was worried they couldn't handle me, to tell you the truth.
Hey guys, we're gonna. Sorry, dude. We gotta let Warfare has been up here waiting a while, so we're gonna go ahead and
I'm
let
bouncing
them.
anyways, brother. No
Okay.
worries. I was just answering back at the question that was just asked to me.
Hey, buddy, dude. Thank you so much for coming up here and sharing that. Anything that can help people that they don't know is helpful. Go ahead, Warfare. Sorry, I know you've been waiting for.
You're all good. So, like, one thing that stuck out to me, man, is that how is sober living able to treat a detox client, right? Like, you have to be accredited by DHCS and Joint Commission for 3.1 as well as 3 to 3.5 accreditation, right? So, like, I forgot what she said in regards to medication, right? Like, she probably got prescribed medication, but it's not her medication. It was house meds, because you're not able to see a doctor. Yeah, you could see a doctor through telehealth, but it still doesn't give them a right to prescribe medication at a lower level of care.
Legally, they're not.
Correct. So they were obviously giving her house meds.
So there's a caveat to it, right? So there is such a thing as outpatient detox. Now, typically with outpatient detox services, the individual has to go to the outpatient clinic daily to get their medication and get their vitals taken, right? That is a different protocol, but those outpatient detox centers are licensed to provide that service. A sober house is not licensed to detox in that facility.
Correct.
So for an individual to talk to a clinician, get a week's worth of medication, and for a sober house to administer and put a person through a detox based on a week's prescription is not a legal, medically safe protocol nor practice.
How do you think that they didn't just do it separately?
I don't know. I think if an individual has insurance, I don't understand why they would not have just enrolled them in an outpatient detox and transported them to that center daily.
Right.
It wouldn't have been an unsafe, non-medical detox. It would have been medically monitored, and it would have been done through an outpatient detox center.
Yeah, I just don't understand that part. There's got to be reasons.
If you're a sober living environment, any patient should have access readily to any medicines that are prescribed to them number one. Number two, the sober living environment shouldn't have access to managing a nurse practitioner, somebody licensed to oversee meds and med counts.
So for anyone to administer medication, I know at least in my state, right? You either have to be a nurse or you have to be MAP, medically administration personnel certified. In sober houses that I have been house managers in while I lived in sober living, and when I have been office staff administration for sober living companies, all our residents managed their own medication.
Well, I know from what they're talking about at Graceland or at the graduate house, one person controls the meds and distributes them.
I have never, and again, I've been in this field for years. I also have worked very closely with my state to set up the oversight of the Sober House Association oversight in our state. And one of the guidelines for our state oversight is that in sober housing, the residents have control of their own medication. Sober housing in our state is not treatment. It is just that. It is sober housing. It has nothing to do with treatment. It is housing where the residents are sober and nothing more.
That's what they do at Graceland. No one gives them their meds. They take
But
their
they
own
are
meds.
not in control of their own medication.
That's not true. That's not true because Madison clearly said the other day on a live when I spoke with her that their meds are in a lockbox separated and they are distributed by a graduate.
And we just had somebody in here that had been there and has experienced it firsthand that just told us that they do that.
Yeah, they have one person that does it.
But no one should have their hands on a resident's medication if they are not certified, is the point. If you are not certified to administer medication, you should not have your hand on anyone else's medication.
Yeah, that's possession in a way, and it's also it's so important to have education and be certified to hand out medication because you also have to watch for other things. Like these are abusable, very hardcore medicines, and the fact is that they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and this seems to be a larger problem throughout the recovery space. So right.
Yeah, they need to be. That's why they have certificates. That's why they're licensed, right? There's certain things that you have to watch out for. Certain things, symptoms, right? Just things that you would know as a doctor that you'd have to watch out for. That could be damaging to health and stuff like that.
Mr. Ryan, 122. Have you been to Graceland or
I've never
experienced
been
there?
a resident, but I've been a long-time follower, and I have been to Graceland dinners, and I've been part of it on 4 or 5 different occasions because I've been a long-time follower. I'm from California, and I've been following Pat's journey since the beginning, and residents of the house.
So you would say that you may have a bias because you've allowed somebody like Pat to sit you down and really explain things on his way through his eyes.
No, that's not true at all. That's not true at all.
Okay.
I've never been sat down by Pat and talked to by Pat. I've done it all through the phone, and I've been to Graceland and had dinners and seen Pat there, but he's personally never sat me down and talked to me.
But you've interacted with him, right? They've shown you kind of what they wanted to show you when they brought you over there. Say that they're on their best behavior, right?
Well, no. I mean, I've seen stuff with my own eyes, and I'm not going to lie about it. But they're doing a great job, and they're helping people. And
What about the
people-
woman who had a seizure in their house? What
Yeah,
about?
they called 911.
But she
Why
was
would that even
detoxing.
happen? Why would that even happen in their home when that's, something? How could anybody allow something like that to happen? That shows a great deal of ignorance to what
They
you
didn't
wanted to
allow
know.
it to happen. She wasn't the situation that you guys don't know about, because I do know about this situation, is that she was in detox. And she was detoxed from medical professionals, not by Patrick, not by Graceland. And they said she was done fully detoxing. And she got the green light to go back to Graceland by medical professionals.
Okay, I will say that does happen. So if that is what happened, and they didn't just allow her, they just didn't invite her to specifically
No,
detox.
she wasn't detox. She wasn't detoxed, and they let her go after a certain amount of time to come back to Graceland, and then that's when she had seizures, and that's when they called 911, and they took her back to a different place, and they obviously didn't said, well, you can come back when you're fully detoxed. That was not Graceland's fault. That was the detox center's fault.
Are you talking? Are you? Hold on. Are you talking about Cassidy?
There's two different women.
Okay,
Cassidy-
so are you talking about the young woman who was released from the emergency room with Ativan in a state of detox, who the clients were taking her vitals, giving her Ativan, and she had a seizure actively detoxing at Graceland?
No, this was another girl, but I can't remember
Okay.
her name off the top of my head.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Ryan, why were you eating dinner at Graceland? Was it for like fundraising or?
No, I've been following Patrick's journey and everybody's journey, not just Patrick. Patrick and Dan. I've had conversations with Danielle. I've talked to everybody.
How did it come about?
But why?
Why? Because I'm in the recovery community myself. I've been clean and sober 17 years. I sponsor people. I have sober living houses myself, 3 of them. And I just wanted to meet them and have dinner and talk to the people. And because I've been talking through the phone, so I wanted to go have dinner and just be able to have camaraderie with people and talk to people and stuff and find out how they do things and stuff. Because I have sober living houses for 5 years now, and I just wanted to see how their structure was and stuff. I went to lots of different sober living houses to learn bits and pieces from everybody.
Hold on. You do know in the state of California, though, that Graceland Ranch does have, like, open cases against them.
Yeah, I know all about it.
Like, with the Department of Mental Health, with the Department of Rehabilitation, like, all the primary state organizations that oversee all these sort of programs. You do know that they have a case with Graceland, right?
No, there's only one lawsuit pending, and that's from a.
Not a lawsuit.
It's not a lawsuit. The Department of Rehabilitation has an investigation against them. The Department of Mental Health has an investigation against them. These are state programs, right? These are like state funded, tax funded programs. It's not like a case. It's not like a court case. These are programs that oversee basically all the organizations and resources that are offered throughout California and Los Angeles specifically. You do know they have an open case against them, correct? All of these programs, they do, right? I highly suggest that you look them up, but they are being looked into for insurance brokering issues, right? A lot of people have reported, and I'm someone from Los Angeles. I'm someone that is highly into social services. I work in social services. Basically, what Graceland does, or what at least my opinion is what they do. And there is an investigation open into this, but they take people who are in vulnerable situations, they kind of prey on them, and they profit off of their insurance, right? So I don't know how you're defending this man when there's quite literally multiple, as you said, cases, not criminal cases, but like there's investigations onto him. So I don't know how you're going to defend him. I live in Los Angeles. I work in social services. So like I said, for somebody who owns, like you said, like rehabilitation centers, I don't know how you're going to vouch for a man like this who has literal cases against him. I just don't understand.
I haven't seen the
He
proof.
He preys on people who, and I'm someone who has dealt with substance use disorder. He preys on people in these circumstances. A lot of them go back to substance abuse. He quite literally preys on them and uses their insurance for profit. And this is something that has been like spoken on for years. Like I know a lot of people are new to this, but this is something that has been spoken on for years. And the fact that you're like, oh, I visited him. I mean, obviously he's going to show his best face. But
all I know is that people have, not you guys, but just people in general, have been talking shit about Pat and Graceland and what they're doing and what they're not doing and stuff like that.
It's been years. I've literally, like, I'm telling you, I know you don't know me. I don't expect you to believe me. I've worked in social services. He has had literal investigations on him for years. And the fact that you're just like, oh, people talk shit on him. Of course they talk shit on him because he preys on vulnerable groups of people. Of course they're going to talk shit on him. Like, be realistic. He's had actual investigations and cases against him for years from the state of California, from the Department of Rehabilitation, from the Department of Mental Health. Be realistic, dude. Like, it's kind of sickening how you can look at someone like that and say that they're fit to have a sober living. It's insane.
But first of all, Pat doesn't.
Okay, can I say something real quick? There's a girl.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not meaning to cut you off. Please, girl, keep speaking. This is to Ryan. There's a girl in the chat. I asked her if she wanted to come up. She said she's never been live before. You guys can scroll her, see her comments. Her name is Katie. She says that Ryan, and I'm only bringing this attention because other people have seemed like they have questions as to what you're saying or doubt or whatnot. I don't know if that's the right word, but anyways, she said that she's actually seen you in a lot of Pat's lives talking about how you're a full supporter of him and
I do support
Ryan, and that you've actually been in a lot of other lives saying it.
I was
and
like,
that,
what the heck? Not me. Definitely not me.
People have booted you, and hold on, I'm scrolling up to see.
I support Patrick and the whole Graceland staff for what they're doing.
Hey, but Ryan,
They're causing literal harm. Like, you don't understand. I live in Los Angeles. I'm 20 minutes from Skid Row. I see drug addiction every single day.
I know.
They're causing literal harm to the community, and you're saying that you respect them. I don't understand that.
Hey, Ryan, I just have a question. You say you own 5 sober living facilities in and around LA, I suppose. Are they licensed, insured, certified?
It's not in California. It's in Vermont.
And do you live in California?
I live in California, but my sober houses are in Vermont.
Okay, so how do you oversee them when you're 3,500 miles away?
I have staff that work for me that run them, just like any other company.
Hold on, I do want to say Leia, however you pronounce it. I doubt Aya has saved more lives than Pat, right? I don't save lives. I work for social services, but I provide people with housing, EBT. I don't necessarily save lives from fatality or substance abuse, but I can guarantee you Pat doesn't either, right? Like, Pat is still an addict. Pat is still dealing with substance abuse, which he has admit himself. So somebody who is still dealing with addiction, how do you expect him to support other people? If he himself cannot remain sober, how do you expect him to keep other people sober?
Well,
This is
I
not
can
me
speak
trying
up.
to be, hold on. This is not me trying to be, an asshole, excuse my language, but let's be realistic. How can someone who cannot maintain his own sobriety keep other people sober? It's just not the reality of life. You're saying I haven't helped more people than him. I mean, I've helped people in different ways. I've helped people connect with resources. I've helped people connect with different things. But as far as keeping people sober, that's not my job, and that's not something that he can do either. He can't even keep himself sober. So how do you expect me to believe he keeps other people sober? Be realistic with yourself. Like, come on now. Come on now.
Well,
If
first
he
of all,
cannot be
Patrick,
sober himself, how do you expect him to be a sponsor for others? That's not realistic.
Patrick is sober. He's just sick and tired of
He
people
admit
saying
That is not
himself.
he's
so.
He
sober.
said it
He's been
himself
sober
that he is
19
not
years.
sober.
Hold on.
He said it himself.
He took a
Can
UA and he tested positive for kratom and also THC. That's not sober.
And you know what? Honestly, like I'm someone I'm very into like I've dealt with, substance abuse. I'm very into the community. You can call yourself clean, right? Even if you use THC, but you can't call yourself sober. You can't lie to people as if you're not using anything. Even if you're using THC, right? Say I'm using that, but be honest with yourself. Don't lie to people as if you use nothing. Because that's not a good example for other people. Be honest. Even if you're using THC, that's fine. Be honest.
But you know what's funny, Ryan? And I'm saying this with all due respect, right? Because we're all entitled to our opinions, okay?
Of course. At the end of the
But
day.
hold on 1 second. Just let me finish what I'm saying, please, because I have not interrupted you.
Yes, ma'am.
95% of our panel tonight have been discussing recovery and red flags in the industry. We have actually not spoken about Pat and his character flaws. Majority of this live, we have spoken about structurally and ethically red flags that we see sober living houses in general taking steps crossing into what is considered treatment when sober living has no oversight and they are not treatment facilities. You, sir, came in here and continuously brought Pat's name into this conversation when, yes,